The two best words in sports are Game 7. But I would argue there's two words that are even better. Wolves win, baby. They did it Thursday in emphatic fashion, but Thursday was about survival. Tonight is about glory. Tonight is about history. Tonight is about shaking off all that Minnesota misery. Tonight, the Wolves are going to have to fight if they want to punch their ticket to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in 20 years. And you already know the Timberwolves are built for war, baby.
Game 7, man. That's it. It's all the marbles. I'm sitting in the house. I'm loading up the pump. I'm loading up the Uzi. I got a couple of M16s, a couple 9s. I got a couple joints with some silencers on. I'm just loading up clips, a couple grenades. Got a missile launcher with a couple, missiles. I'm ready for war.
And you already know that we're ready to party. And I got a feeling that this jamboree is going to be jamming all night long. Welcome to the pregame party presented to you by ABC, American Building Contractors. My name is Max Fuller, a.k.a. Matthew Max Conaughey, a.k.a. Hootie Hoo Richardson, alongside Parker Fox and Brett Blakemore. Guys, I've had about 10 coffees, ran through this game 100 times in my mind. My heart rate is at 200 beats per minute, and it feels like a year ago that the Timberwolves absolutely spanked the Denver Nuggets in Game 6, 115-70. I'm not tripping, right? That feels like it was like 10 years ago at this point, doesn't it, Parker?
Man, it really does. I feel like it was a couple of weeks ago that we were sitting in the studio and everybody was chanting Wolves in 7. You saw all the videos of the parking garages, people honking their horns, everybody chanting Wolves in 7. You, me, Rosie, we were all hanging out, having a good time. But, and here it is. The day has finally come. Like Travis Kelce said, you got to fight for your right to party. And I'm expecting this Wolves team to fight for their right tonight. But no, it's felt like forever. I think we've all just kind of had this nervous, anxious energy.
Yeah.
I even mentioned to you, I play golf every day, but today I didn't want to play golf because I was so nervous, but I had to get out there and just play a quick little 9 to just kind of get my mind off something. But it's just been this weird, anybody that lives in the city has kind of felt this, this weird energy today. And the sky's a little gray,
right.
It's just like ominous outside. It's just like a weird, we've had all this sun the past couple of days and now it's just a little dark and dingy. And it's like, it's going down tonight, man.
It's going down. And I know we here in Minnesota, we have that feeling. We're looking for any excuse to be like, oh, well, the sun's not out. It's not our day. We're all trying to get into our superstitions, whatever, even though we're not playing the game. But it's hard not to feel that way. But whether tonight is the Wolves' night is yet to be determined. But Thursday night certainly was their night. 115-70, an absolute beatdown of the Denver Nuggets. Plenty of places to start with the Game 6, but I want to start with probably the story of the game. Jaden McDaniels scoring 21 points on 8 of 10 shooting. Parker, we've seen that this team can reach another gear when Jaden McDaniels gets going like that. We saw it a couple times in the Suns series, and we saw it again on Game 6. This Wolves offense, it has a ceiling, and then when Jaden McDaniels gets going, that ceiling is you can't even see it. It's out of the stratosphere. How can Jaden McDaniels have a performance like Game 6 on a more consistent basis? Because it's an easy question to ask, but I'm sure we all see the potential there. How can he do it on a more consistent basis?
Well, he's our true X factor. I think anytime, you talk about individual games, there's different guys that can be X factors, whether that's a Mike Conley or a Naz Reid or a Nikola Alexander-Walker. But Jaden McDaniels is our X factor. He's the Wolves' X factor. What he does on the defensive ends, the energy, the physicality that he brings. You look at his body and you think he's kind of just like this long, kind of scrawny dude. He's so physical on ball. You saw in Game 6 there's that one foul where Murray's driving and he fell over. And I don't even like that foul call because I thought it was just him playing good straight up defense. But no, I think Jaden. You talk about consistency and you want to see consistency with Jaden. It starts in the defensive end, right? He doesn't need to be a 30-point scorer for the Wolves to win. That's not what Jaden McDaniels is for this team. Jaden McDaniels is our stopper. Jamal Murray's their kind of X factor type of guy. He's the guy that he has to score for them to win, and we have to stop Jamal Murray for us to win. And where does that start? Jaden McDaniels.
Jaden freaking McDaniels.
So he needs to start on the defensive end. He needs to get in passing lanes. He needs to rile up, the offense. I think so much of what Jaden McDaniels can bring is that kind of frustration to a defense. He's a 6'9", 6'10", long defender.
Yeah.
And, getting your shot off, creating separation is tough when you're going against guys like that. So I expect Jaden to kind of be on that from the jump. And then, that'll transition to his offense. He's going to be open for open corner threes. With the way we play our offense, with the way they've been doubling Anthony Edwards, there's going to be open shots for Jaden McDaniels. So expect, if his defense is on tonight, those threes starts going in a little bit more.
Hopefully they do, because we're going to need all the help we can get. I don't expect Denver to come out anything like they did in Game 6. Obviously, they went from shooting nearly 50% or better in 3 straight games to missing 60 shots. They only scored 70 points, and they missed 60 shots in Game 6. What did the Wolves do so well to slow down that Nuggets offense in Game 6 the other night?
Yeah, we talked about it on the post game party or the fan lines, and I think it just starts. It obviously starts with Jokic. Any great team needs their Batman in a Western Conference semifinals type of game. You need your Batman to be great, and Jokic wasn't that game. And when we saw it, and you saw all the tweets about Jokic hasn't sat down in his fourth quarter.
Right.
He's standing up and he's so ready for Game 7. Well, first of all, forget about all that, and second of all, I think you just got to give a lot of credit to our bigs. The one thing that I noticed that we talked about was that Karl-Anthony Towns didn't get a foul for 9 minutes into that first quarter. You saw the audio of Anthony Edwards telling Cat, stop bleeping fouling, and that we need you on the court. And not only do we need him on the court, but also you can't give Jokic an ounce, man. You can't give him an inch. The moment you give him an inch, he's going to take a mile. And I think the way we kind of set out to guard Jokic and to force him to the perimeter, and he goes 0 for 4 from 3, and we're making him shoot deep shots, and he can't be the playmaker, the creator that he is. I think that's what the Wolves have to do, and that's a group effort. It's not just a Karl-Anthony Towns thing. It's a Carl thing. It's a Rudy thing. It's a Nas thing. And if it comes to Jaden McDaniels, it becomes a Jaden McDaniels thing. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that's about as emotional as I've ever seen Nikola Jokic when they zoomed in on him, and he just looked absolutely pissed. Yeah. We know that how emotionless that family can be. We sat in front of his brother a couple games ago. Yeah, he cracked 0 smiles the entire game. He looked like he was ready to punch everybody in the Target Center in their faces. So I know a lot of people are expecting Nikola Jokic to come out on fire tonight. I'm certain that he's going to be motivated for sure. You mentioned that Karl-Anthony Towns did a phenomenal job defending Nikola Jokic in Game 6. They kind of made Karl-Anthony Towns more so the primary defender as opposed to Rudy Gobert, who he played great defense against Nikola Jokic, but got absolutely cooked in Game 5. Do you expect Karl-Anthony Towns to once again be the primary defender tonight? Yeah.
Carl will start on him. Obviously, we're going to have to throw different bodies at him. He's the best player in the world. It's frankly not even close if you watch him play. So, we got to throw a lot of really good bodies at him. We got to throw size at him. We got to throw physicality at him. And that's what I love about this Timberwolves team is because you got 3 guys, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this big man thing won't work. It's not going to work against yada yada yada." But Michael Porter Jr. even said it in an interview. He said this Wolves team is built to beat us. Their roster, Tim Conley created both of these teams, and he created this Wolves team to beat this Denver team. So I love the fact that we can throw 3, 4, even 5 different bodies at him. Because he's so good, then he's so talented, and he's so smart that he's going to figure out what you're doing, right?
Right.
The moment you figure him out, throw a different body at him. Throw a different size at him. Throw a different length at him. Throw Nas at him. Throw Jaden at him for a little bit.
Why not?
Throw different guys at him. And I think as a player, you talk about a Game 7, right? You're supposed to have each other figured out. You've played 6 games already. You're supposed to know what they're going to do. The way you combat that is throw different bodies at him, throw different looks at him, and hopefully that confuses him, and he's not able to be the best player in the world tonight.
Hopefully not, because
we hope so, right?
That's all you can do with Nikola Jokic, pretty much, is hope, because he's that dang good. He's one of the smartest basketball players I've ever seen in my entire life. And you mentioned Michael Porter Jr. I want to get to him in a second, but going back to Cat, we've kind of seen throughout this series this kind of the encapsulation and evolution of Karl-Anthony Towns' game. Obviously, we know like the first 7-8 years that he was here, he was supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be the number 1 option. And now we've kind of seen him in this role throughout this series. He's doing what he needs to do to help this Timberwolves team win. We saw Cat, the defender, in Game 6 a couple games ago. We saw him, be the leading scorer on this team. Granted, they didn't win, but he knew that he needed to have a big bounce-back game and get his shot going. He's guarding Jokic. He's guarding Aaron Gordon. He's doing what he needs to do. He's kind of been a Cat of all trades. What Cat do you want to see from Cat tonight? What do the Wolves need from Cat tonight?
I want to see steady Cat tonight. I just want to see even-keeled, not too high, not too low, so many times in a Game 7, human nature just kind of creates out and it just creeps out into your play and it's highs and lows and it's a roller coaster. I just want to see Cat kind of just flatline, just even keel. I saw a video of him. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but there's a video of him sitting in the bleachers in Denver and he had his whole gear on, he has headphones in. He's kind of just like staring at the court. Like, that's the Cat I want to see tonight.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't see that, but I love hearing that.
That gave me good energy, man. Like, that's the Cat I want to see. I just want to see this like even keel, like I'm ready to come in here and take care of business. I'm not going to flail my arms around. I'm not going to complain to the refs. I'm not going to get caught up in the motion of Denver and all this. I'm going to come in here and just take care of business. And I think that's the best version of Karl Anthony Towns. I think oftentimes, human nature creeps in and things can happen. It's a Game 7, right?
Yeah, right.
It's natural to have emotion. It's good to have emotion, but the more you can take out of that and just be laser focused and dialed in. Like, this is kind of coming from like a coaching standpoint, right? You're like, dude, just focus in and lock in. But like, it's true. I think that's the best version of Cat, and Cat doesn't need to score 40 either. Cat doesn't need to be that guy. This Wolves team doesn't really need anybody but Anthony Edwards to be that high scoring guy. Cat takes care of business on the defensive end. That's going to translate to his offense, and he's going to just kind of have easy shots around the basket.
Yeah, they don't really need anyone to score 40 if they're sharing the rock like we saw in last game. I think the leading score was 27. Anthony Edwards with 27. This Wolves team plays the best when everybody is touching the ball. And you mentioned it from like a player standpoint though, Parker. How do you kind of keep yourself calm ahead of a big game like that? Like, what do you do to lock in and keep yourself calm? Are you more like you said today, you did the golf to get your mind off of it? Are you distract yourself kind of guy? Are you lock in all day kind of guy? Like, how do you keep yourself calm and not too overboard ahead of a big game?
Yeah, I mean, there's two different approaches, right? You can be the guy that's up late watching film, up in the morning, getting your shots up.
Watching First Take, Stephen A. disrespect you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you could play like all like your fails or whatever and be like, this is not going to be. No, I'm more just kind of just an even keel. I just kind of go with the flow. I think oftentimes early in my career, I was super laser focused and, dialed in and kind of stuff. And I still am, but it's more of just like, hey, you prepared. You've played 82 regular season games. You've already played now 10 playoff games. You've played 92 basketball games this year. Like, what's right or wrong. I think they've said we've played this Denver team 20 times over the last two seasons, and this year we're 5-5 against them. So this is kind of like the separator. So this team well, they know you well. So it's less about that kind of stuff and more about just going back to all the work that you've put in and just trusting that and trusting the kind of player you are and knowing that, hey, if I come out here and I do what I do best, and if I just do it with a clear head and just have fun doing it, and I think that the rest will take care of itself, and the best team will come out on top.
Yeah, this team is such a mature team. I'm not super worried. In years past, I might have been worried about the emotional response and the kind of the emotional status of this team. But with guys like Mike Conley, even Anthony Edwards, we've seen publicly his progression as a leader of this team. I'm not super worried about them coming out flat or anything like that. I'm fully expecting them to be prepared and ready for war, loading up the Uzi, loading up the clips, like KG said, got grenade launchers and everything. This is Max Fuller and Parker Fox with the pre-game party ahead of, I would say, the biggest game in Timberwolves franchise history. Would you, Parker?
I mean, yeah, from my understanding, obviously I think some of the older guys would argue with me if we had Rosen in here with us today. He'd probably argue that 20 years ago was a pretty big one. But no, from my understanding, this is the biggest game. I've been a Wolves fan, and yourself, we've been Wolves fans for so long. We've gone to so many games. None really stack up to this. And I think it gives me this weird feeling. I'm not like nervous about like a win or a loss. I think it's just like, it's right in front of us. It's right here. And like, now we have a chance to do it, and we have a chance to, and we know who we're going to play next. Like, we're going to be the home seed. Like, we could have game 1 in Target Center in a couple days, man.
Oh
Like,
my God.
how sweet is this?
It feels like a dream. Like, it feels surreal, and it's right there.
Yeah.
And it's not one of those situations where maybe in years past, like a couple years ago, had the Wolves gotten through to the Western Conference Finals, well, there's KD and Steph Curry and the Warriors waiting for it. That's not the case this year. It's wide open.
Yeah.
This could very well be, and a lot of people don't like me looking ahead and all that stuff. This could be basically the NBA Finals right here. I think the winner of this game is going to win the championship. So this could be for it all tonight. It just seems so surreal that it's happening to the Minnesota Timberwolves, man.
No, it's like you said, it's just like this emotion that we're displaying right now, and I hope people like realize like this is real. Like, we're not faking this stuff, man. Like,
we both came up the elevator and we're like anxious.
I know, we're like pulling our hair out, like the afro's losing a couple. Like, you got to start picking that thing
spots,
out,
right?
man.
Yeah, I must have to start wearing a weave pretty soon here. I've been pulling my hair out all weekend, man.
No, man, it's intense, but that's what you want. You know, I think anytime you're a fan of a team and you get the opportunity to play in these games, like, I think Timberwolves fans couldn't be more excited for tonight. And I've heard and I've seen on Twitter that there's just awesome juice in Denver for Timberwolves fans. Like, there's Timberwolves gear all over the place. There's flags. There's good energy. I saw a couple tweets about the energy for Timberwolves fans in Denver around Ball Arena tonight was awesome. So I hope we bring that energy. And I know I got a couple buddies in the crowd out there. So I'm hoping they get some Nas Reed chants, some MVP chants for Anthony Edwards, and we fire this thing up, man.
Hopefully, and we'll be checking in with Brandon Cristal. He does radio down in Denver in our iHeart affiliate over there at KOA Radio. We'll get some insider intel from the enemy here around the corner. And Justin Guard, our very own Guardsy, is down in Denver as well. We're going to check in with him and see what the vibe is like in a little bit here, but it's just me and Parker Fox for a couple more minutes. And Parker, one of the big things about Game 6 for the Wolves, and just for their success in general throughout this postseason, is playing clean basketball, not giving Denver. A team like Denver is, like you said, if you give them an inch, they're going to go a mile. And if you give them easy buckets, the rim just starts looking bigger and bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden it's as big as one of Saturn's rings. And they played really clean basketball. Denver only had 14 free throws in Game 6, and it just seems like this Wolves team is such a team that it gets, when it gets in a rhythm, when it gets in a flow, it just cannot be stopped. It's like a grade 5 whitewater river. You just can't stop the flow. You can't fight against it. And trust me, I tried. I almost drowned when I was in Australia. You're not stronger than the river. But I just think that one of the underrated aspects of tonight's game is just playing really clean basketball and not giving Denver those easy looks, especially for guys like Jaden McDaniels and Karl-Anthony Towns, who do find themselves in foul trouble sometimes.
Yeah, and I think, you talk about the kind of the other guys for us, but you got to think about the other guys for them. I'd be lying if I knew exactly Michael Porter Jr.'s numbers, but they haven't been great. They haven't been up to his caliber, and that's a kind of guy that could easily spark. He could see his first 3 go in and then get hot, and then fourth quarter comes around, now he's made 5 or 6 of them. So that's a thing too, where we can't get satisfied of what we've done these past 6 games. We got to realize what they have, what they bring. They're the world champs for a reason. They lost Bruce Brown, they lost a couple other pieces, but like, they still have pieces. They got a guy like Casey P who can go explode. They got a guy off the bench, Christian Watson, who brings in a lot of energy and swagger. Michael Porter Jr. is, capable shot maker. We saw Aaron Gordon make a lot of shots, and I think that game 4. So this is a team where like we mentioned earlier, if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. We got to make sure we're locked in on all that little kind of stuff, because it can expose you quick, and it's something that where you don't want to look back after this game and be like, oh man, we did everything so well, but Michael Porter Jr. hit 6 threes, and that's what beat us. Like, that would be such a crappy way to lose.
And that's kind of what I'm scared of the most, because he has not been himself this series whatsoever. I think before the series had started, everyone around town was looking at him as the X Factor kind of guy. Nobody expected it would be Aaron Gordon for several games. But what's going on with Michael Porter Jr. in your opinion? Is it bad MPJ, good Timberwolves, or a little bit of both?
Well, I don't know, because I've always been an MPJ fan. He was my class. So I watched him in AAU tournaments and got to, see him play up live, close and personal. And I've just kind of always been in awe with his game. He played AAU with Trae Young on the circuit.
Wow,
so they were always a really good game. I think they were a Peach Finals kind of team. And
oh, man, that had to be nuts to see
those two together. And at that point, Michael Porter Jr. was never had the back problems and was just all healthy and dunking everything. But no, I think he's such a skilled and talented player that, like, it's been weird for me this series to be like, where's Michael Porter Jr. been?
Right.
Like,
he's been a complete non-factor.
Really?
I haven't even thought about him at all.
I know, exactly. So I think that's a kind of guy where you can't let him just fall by the wayside and forget about him. You can't let a guy like that with that much skill just, miss shots. You got to still be there with a hand to contest. And, if you do the little things right and you're still there and you're contesting and shots go in, then so be it. I grew up learning that, you can't control everything in a game, right? If he's making shots and you're doing good defensively, then,
just gotta live with it.
So be it. But, one thing we can't live with is not being there defensively and allowing him to just start getting hot, catching fire, and making open threes. But, yeah, I think he's a guy that's going to be a big piece tonight. And I think if you're in the Denver locker room, you're looking to Michael Porter. If you're the coaches, you're like, hey, Mike, hey, when are you going to kind of get going tonight?
Right.
Is this going to be something where you just – you're just kind of out there running the pacer test like Tony Snell, or are you, going to start making some threes for us? And I don't want to start talking crap too early, and then he comes and sparks us tonight.
Right.
But no, that's a guy that I think Denver's really looking to be a big focal point. So the Timberwolves have to counter that.
100%. And you kind of mentioned he was a guy that you can't forget, that you can't let him fall by the wayside. And that's kind of what the Denver Nuggets did to Rudy Gobert for most of this series. And then the Wolves made it a point to get him involved early in that game, and he obviously didn't explode offensively. I think he had something like 8 points, but that completely shifted Denver's game plan defensively, and it created a lot of space for guys like Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards. Do you expect Rudy Gobert to be involved in this offense a little bit more than even Game 6?
Yeah, it's the same thing we talked about. We don't need to make Rudy somebody he's not, right? We don't need to make Rudy an operator in the short roll. He's not
going to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Exactly,
right.
and that's fine. I think Denver wants that. Denver wants us to come off of ball screens. When Rudy Gobert sets high ball screens and he rolls to the rim, they're allowing that pocket pass, that early little pocket pass right around the free throw line. So watch for that tonight. You'll see Rudy Gobert's open right around the free throw line. I don't want us to pass that one.
No.
I want Rudy to sprint to the front of the rim, bury himself down there, and catch and finish around the rim. We saw the Timberwolves started out last game with the high ball screen with Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. I love that action because they can't blitz the ball screen, so then Rudy can roll to the rim. Karl-Anthony Towns gets downhill and lobs that one over the top to Rudy. Those are the kind of shots you want Rudy to take.
Yeah.
You want easy dunks, easy lobs, and then you want effort plays. You want, offensive rebounds, you want tip-ins, and then you want a guy that can get to the foul line, a knock on wood, but he's been shooting his free throws pretty well too. So, at that size it becomes a little difficult. But that's the Rudy you want. You don't want you don't want Kareem. You're not asking him to be Kareem. You're not asking him to be Bill Russell. You're asking him to be Rudy Gobert, be awesome defensively, and just finish the little easy shots inside.
100%. He's at his best when he's rim running, when he's getting those putback dunks. And we've seen it here and there in this series, and I'm expecting him to have a big game tonight. And he, obviously was big on the boards. All of the Wolves' big men were big on the boards. I think Naz Reid, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert all had double-digit rebounds in Game 6. So I'm expecting the Wolves to go big once again because obviously that worked out for them in Game 6. But I'm not expecting another blowout. I know pretty much every game in this series has been a blowout thus far, but I'm not expecting another blowout tonight, right, Parker? I mean, we've been saying that ahead of every game.
I know, we have.
And it's so unpredictable. But tonight can't be a blowout one way or the other, right?
It would be hard for me to see it. I think... we've said it this for so long. We're like, oh, tonight's not going to be a blowout. And then we're up 50 points in that game, So it's like, I just don't see that. I was talking to a buddy this morning who's a big Wolves fan, and we were kind of just dissecting the game and what we thought was going to happen. And he said something about how, he thinks, one, it'll be a close game, but the tone will be set very early. If you watch this Knicks-Pacers game today, there was a kind of a brawl early in the game, and that's that game set of an energy, man.
Yeah.
That's that kind of stuff that you see. And I think the tone will be set really early in this game tonight. But no, I expect to fight. I expect one of the more quality basketball games from just a viewer perspective that we get to watch. Obviously I would want us to go out there and blow them up by 50.
Right.
That'd
be great.
That would be sweet. I think everybody listening to us right now would agree with that.
We'll start fan line in the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon. But that's just, it seems unrealistic to me.
Me too.
I just don't imagine, that Jamal Murray shows up to this game and just is non-existent. I don't imagine Jokic is non-existent tonight. These guys are going to show up. We're going to get their biggest and best punch.
Yeah.
but I think we're ready to eat that punch and give them a big haymaker back.
I think we're ready too. It's going to get rowdy. Let's hope the Timberwolves are about it like Master P in the 90s, rolling up to Ball Arena in a tank. Word to the No Limit Soldiers. Your Minnesota Timberwolves are ready for war, and we're ready to party all night long. This is the Pregame Party presented to you by ABC. Coming up next, we're checking in with Brandon Cristal. He does radio down Denver way. He's going to give us the vibe on how the Nuggets are feeling after that ass whooping on Thursday night, what's going on with MPJ and more. And then we're going to check in with Guardsy to close out the show. This is the Pregame Party presented to you by ABC. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
ABCwillhelp.com. ABC will help. ABC. American Building Contractors. ABCwillhelp.com. New roof, windows or gutters, siding or just a repair. ABC for new installation, insurance restoration. ABC is there.
Call today and get free gutters when you replace your roof with American Building Contractors. Restrictions may apply. Call for details.
ABCwillhelp.com.
At RBC Wealth Management, we know you have ideas for your future. Ideas that can have you enjoying the moment or owning the moment. They can bring investment opportunities or opportunities to invest in yourself. Ideas that can have you doing good or feeling great. From following your passion to making your passion work for you. What ideas will you bring to life? Know more with RBC Wealth Management.
It's WolfRiverElectric.com. That's WolfRiverElectric.com.
Nas Raid.
Most online dating profiles are works of fiction. At It's Just Lunch, we are all about fun, real-life dates set up by real dating experts. Save the fiction for your nightstand and call It's Just Lunch today. Visit itsjustlunchtwincities.com or call 612-355-2727.
If you're speeding, you'll pay a price. Maybe the ultimate price. Speed kills. Please, slow down.
Extra enforcement now on Minnesota roads. A message from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety.
Dan Barrero with Mike Bryant of Bradshaw and Bryant. And Mike, I want to talk analytics today.
I thought you were bored with analytics.
I'm fine with them as a tool, certainly a tool to try to convince folks to drive safer.
Well, then you've come to the right place. How about this analytics stat? 4 seconds of eyes off the road can be equal to the length of a football field.
Wow.
Or this, kids, more than anyone else, love to text and drive. 2 seconds of texting makes it 24 times more likely you'll end up in a collision.
That's chilling.
The CDC estimates that 3,000 people die each year while texting or otherwise distracted. With school in session, young drivers are back on the roads, and I'm hoping we can convince them, really all drivers, to put their phones in drive mode and pay attention to the road.
And if the kids or their mom and dad end up in an accident and need representation?
Don't sign anything until you talk to us. We're lawyers, we know the business, and we'll work for you.
One free phone call to Mike gets the whole process started. Just go to MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. That's MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
This is the audio home for Timberwolves playoff basketball.
Rudy, baseline hammer. Two-handed flush off the feed from Ant.
FM 100.3, KFXN, Minneapolis, St. Paul, The Fan.
Haven't done that in a couple of days. It felt really good.
Sounded good, too.
I needed to give my vocal cords a couple of days. Shout out to the Timberwolves and Nuggets going to 7 games because I don't know if my vocal cords could have took it if we didn't have a couple days off. This is the pregame party presented to you by ABC. Just waiting for Brandon Cristal to check in down Denver way. He works for KOA Radio. We're trying to see how Denver Nuggets fans are feeling. I'm sure they're not having a party after that ass whooping on Thursday. The Timberwolves threw a big-ass wet blanket on all of Denver's fun after they won 3 in a row. The winner of this game is going to face off against the Dallas Mavericks, who finished off the OKC Thunder in 6 games, which I thought it was probably going to go to 7. I figured the Mavericks were going to win, but Parker, how do you feel either the Wolves or the Nuggets match up with the Mavericks? Personally, in my opinion, I kind of think that either one, it could be a gentleman's sweep. The Mavericks have been playing really well, but I just don't know if they match up really good against the Wolves or the Nuggets.
Yeah, same deal. I think, obviously when you look at talent like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, you got to be, a little concerned. But I think when you talk about a complete team, whether it's this Denver team or whether it's, our Timberwolves, I like the gentleman's sweep call. You don't want to say anything too early, and then we go in and we get, actually swept, which wouldn't be a whole lot of fun. But no, I think that was a fun series, though. Obviously, Oklahoma City's got a lot of talent, but their youth just showed a little bit, and they weren't quite ready to play the big bad wolf in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, they kind of the Thunder kind of remind me of the Wolves a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like they're good enough. They're there, but they're just too young. They haven't been there and done that yet. And I know I didn't get a chance to see the end of the game, but I heard it was controversial. A couple free throw calls or something, a couple foul calls late or something like that. But it just feels like they're going to be good for a long time, especially because they have about 5,000 first-round picks over the next couple of years. I'm sure they'll either get someone really good in the draft or trade them for a superstar player. I could see KD coming back home, possibly, maybe.
Wow.
You never know. But OKC fans have no reason to fret, right?
No,
they're gonna be around for a long time.
They're a team that's going to figure it out. I think I saw some rumors about them moving on from Josh Giddey, and that's just, I don't know if that's exactly going to happen, but that's just what's going to happen with a team that has so many picks like that is, hey, if a guy's not working, we're going to move on to the next because we're trying to build up this roster here. But yeah, down the stretch of that game, a foul call in the corner there on PJ Washington ends up making some free throws to win it. But those are 2 good teams that are the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to have a bright future.
Yeah, for sure. OKC Thunder fans are probably still feeling hopeful, but we're going to check in with Brandon Cristal down at KOA Radio. BK, how are Denver Nuggets fans feeling after that 45-point ass whooping in Game 6?
I think there's some cautious optimism, Max. And I know it's loud in the gym. They're starting to let fans trickle into their seats because we are 54 minutes until maybe tip-off. Maybe that's 54 minutes till the anthem. I don't know, but there's a countdown clock here that says 54, 14, 13. So the fans that are in, I think they're going to be just like we saw in those 3 games in Minnesota, at a fever pitch from the jump. And they know after getting their butts beat in the first 2 games that their team led by a 3-time MVP at least has the capacity to not only put up a fight, but come back, win 3 in a row. They can beat this Minnesota team, but they also are the defending champs. So they've done it. Had just been an elimination game in a Game 4, I think fans, would be down in the dumps. And so cautious optimism feels like the best way to describe the Denver fan base. And this is why you want home court advantage, so you can have Game 7s in your building.
Yeah, Brandon, Parker Fox here. My thing, we've been talking about, your Batman, Jokic, obviously struggled in Game 6, saw him take 4 threes, miss all of them, couldn't really get anything going early. How does the vibe around Jokic feel? Obviously, he's the MVP, he's the best player in the world, but what do you expect from him tonight, and how's his kind of vibe leading up to this Game 7?
I think, Parker, he'll give you something to what you saw similar to those 3 games that they won, right? He loves being challenged. I think he likes being truly tested and trying to figure out on the fly the answers to the test. And, post-game, he couldn't help but laugh at the beatdown. And look, if you were in that building, you could get the sense that every open shot early wasn't falling. And then as the game went on and every open 3, just even when they were kind of settling for him and not trying to work inside out at any point and have no rebounders, basically playing 5 out, that they had just resigned to the fact that they lost. So he couldn't help but laugh at the 45-point beatdown. And Chris Finch was just asked, hey, could that be a bad thing? He goes, no, I'll take another 45-point win again tonight. In his press conference, that was a good line by Coach Finch. But it's funny because Joker's maybe this side of LeBron, the fastest processor in the league in terms of understanding how to attack something. And so when he was at post game, what they do differently? He's like, well, they double team me this game, and they hadn't in the last couple games, so that was different. And so, will they double team him again? If so, how does he attack that double team? And then I think just can they make shots? But I think in order for and we know typically shooters shoot better at home, but in order for the game to go the way they want, they're going to have to work inside out some where he's, more in the paint and operating, just around the paint with Aaron Gordon nearby versus all of them out on the perimeter settling for threes. You need to be able to knock down your open threes, and you got to think even if they knock down half of the 36 that they miss, it's a different game because it also leads to easy rebounds and runouts for the T-Wolves or whoever the defensive team is at that point. And so I think the Joker relishes these moments. What's funny, though, is he stood up the entire fourth quarter, right? And you saw people tweeting about it. And then I asked him post-game, I go, you're standing up the entire fourth quarter. What was going on there? He goes, I needed to lift, so I just wanted to stay loose because I knew I was going to lift right after. So it wasn't menacing or thinking I'm going to destroy these guys. Maybe in his mind he's thinking that, but it was just so he could stay loose so he could go get a good lift in and not be tight.
I love that us in the media and us as fans just completely fabricate and make things up about players that we have no source for whatsoever, but just in our minds, we're like, oh my God, Jokic is going to come out with a generational game.
What a demon.
I know, right? He's the Terminator. Look at him. He's so pissed.
He stood up for 12 whole minutes.
What an Iron Man. My God. We've been talking about the superstars, Jokic, Jamal Murray, all that, but one underrated kind of aspect of this series has been the absence of Michael Porter Jr. I just asked Parker Fox about it last segment, but in your opinion, BK, what's going on with Michael Porter Jr.? Is it good Timberwolves defense, bad Michael Porter Jr., somewhere in between, and what do you expect from him tonight?
Yeah, Max, I do think it's probably somewhere in between. I expect that we'll see a better game from him because at home he just shoots better. He's one of the better shooters on the planet, right? And we've seen that. But we also saw him struggle mightily last year in the playoffs, specifically in the finals. And in order to stay on the court and engaged, he was a lot better defensively than he had been probably most of his life. That wasn't playing against really bad kids in high school or AAU or whatever, but certainly more active and really active on the glass. And so that allowed him to stay in the game and stay on the court. When he's missing threes, and that's been the case of late, and Christian Brown's defense is always going to be there and a tick above MPJ's, not because CB's a better defender fundamentally, but Parker and Max as much as anybody, defense is about effort, right?
Right.
And CB's going to bring the effort every game. And it's not that MPJ doesn't, but if you're not going to be as tenacious on defense, then when a team's up, 14 or so late, and I think it was somewhere between 14 and 16, when MPJ misses a corner three in Game 5, and Malone's already sending CB to the scorer's table, then you go down on the other end, and MPJ lets Cat score on him and then immediately turns it over. I should say lets Cat get scored on, but then lazy pass, Cat steals that, and he has to foul and put him on the line. Well, MPJ and Malone are exchanging words as he's coming out of the game, which was already the plan before that sequence on the defensive side happened. So I think in order to stay on the court, he's got to be able to make shots, and I think he will, right? His total keeps going down, and so this is a place where he's comfortable. They aren't bad look saves aren't going down, similar to last year in the finals. So I think you will get a better Michael Porter Jr. game. I've got him in a couple of my same game parlays, and maybe it's wishful thinking, but the talent is there, and it's just can he get out of his own head and knock a shot down? Because he was really the X factor in the first round, and has been at times throughout his career here, and certainly can be again tonight. If he's knocking down 3 threes or more, then odds are the Nuggets are winning this game.
Yeah, weirdly, he's been the one I've been most concerned about coming into almost every game. He's kind of just been the boogeyman that never shows up, and I'm expecting him to show up big time tonight. And someone that did show up big time for the Timberwolves in Game 6 was Jaden McDaniels. He dropped 21 points, 1 assist, 4 rebounds, and he just shot the lights out against the Denver Nuggets. Aside from Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, who are you most worried about a guy like Jaden McDaniels tonight, or who are you most worried about on the Timberwolves outside of our Batman and Robin, so to say?
Well, I think it's McDaniels. But I think it's also Mike Conley Jr. As Michael Malone pointed out before the series started, that we know how good Mike Conley is and has been his whole career. He goes, but his averages were better against us than they were all year across the board. He had better numbers than his averages, and it's not that the Nuggets aren't a good defensive team. They may not be who the Timberwolves are at times as the best defense in basketball, but they're not slouches either. And the fact that Mike Conley was able to have such big games, including in that regular season game here April 10th where it seemed like he couldn't miss a 3-point shot.
Right.
So he also calms things down, I think, for Ant. So if McDaniels gets 21 again, then that means the Timberwolves are probably winning. But Mike Conley's influence on the game, his ability to stay in the game, and when the ball gets swung to him, if Ant is double teamed or can't get a good look, you know that Mike Conley is going to, hockey assist style, get you to another good play, as opposed to maybe some of the other players when Conley was out and Ant's having to pass out of those double teams and the offense struggles because, there's a reason when you got a 15-year vet at point guard or whatever he is in year, 17, it just changes the dynamic on the court.
This is the pregame party presented to you by ABC. Max Fuller and Parker Fox talking to Brandon Kristahl down Denver way. A couple more questions for you, BK. I think if the Wolves lose tonight, the season will be remembered as a fun landmark season. That was the beginning of something special, hopefully, but also disappointing because it feels like it could be our year because the NBA playoffs is so wide open. If the Nuggets lose tonight, how will you and how will Denver fans remember this season?
I think it's disappointing, right? We know it's hard to repeat as a champion in any sport, and that's why we haven't seen it too often, even in basketball. I guess what the Warriors did a few years back, but it just doesn't happen very often, and that's why that makes it what Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are doing, that much more impressive. But health matters, and they're relatively healthy. They are banged up, but it's not guys off the court, right?
Right.
They're playing through these injuries, which means they're healthy enough to play, right? They're hurt, not injured. Whereas you look at the East, all those guys are truly injured, right? No Giannis at all in the playoffs. No Jimmy Butler really at all in the playoffs. If Boston were to come up short, no KP for them. Not a surprise there. But so
right.
Injuries aren't the reason they would lose. Guys are nicked up, but that's part of the game. And so I think it would be disappointing, not that they wouldn't acknowledge that Minnesota's a really good team, and you got to think if Minnesota goes on, they've got a great chance against Dallas to not only advance, but then play for that championship and win it and have that parade that I know folks there in Minnesota have been so hungry for so long.
We're planning the routes already, BK.
but so I think for the Nuggets, it is disappointing because you did have an MVP year from Joker, and you went into the playoffs with everybody relatively healthy, and you come up short when you've got the home court in a Game 7. And so I think that it would be disappointing. It doesn't mean they make wholesale changes. Don't know if they would bring KCP back, although I think they will. And I think it might be his option. I need to double-check that. Maybe if somebody were interested in Michael Porter Jr., you'd look at it. But I think they like his upside when he's on the court. So I don't think they blow things up. I do think they maybe look to add a little more veteran presence because that was clearly a problem, or it feels like it's been. But so, yeah, you'd still characterize the season as a disappointment because you have home court advantage and you would have it throughout the West playoffs now. And a look at a vulnerable Boston team, it feels like, even with a bunch of really good players, but a beatable Boston team. And so, yeah, it would be disappointing for sure, especially because Game 7 is here in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have the MVP like you guys do, and you've put yourself in that position to win championships over the past couple of years, losing in a semifinals type of situation, does seem like a disappointment. But we're kind of curious about the energy down there in Denver today. Obviously, Game 6 in Minneapolis at the Target Center was electric. The Timberwolves fans showed up and showed out. It was a lot of fun, a lot of energy, and obviously it was that way because at one point in the game we were up 50 points. What's the energy in Denver like today? What's the feel? Is there Wolves energy? Is there Denver energy? Is it nervous energy? How's the energy down there?
Yeah, I think it's nervous energy, and it's because they know they have a team capable of winning this game, right? Even with the way the score unfolded in Game 6 and down 50 and all-time low for playoff production in a game at 70. I'm seeing a guy in neon. He'll definitely be on TV. He's wearing a wolf hat, wolf tail, and neon tights top to bottom with shorts and a Timberwolves jersey. So he's the only T-Wolf fan I've seen other than Justin Gard, who's pretending to be media here tonight. Gardy walked in with his K-Fan shirt on. But so those are the only two Minnesota fans I've seen so far. But, I just like we didn't see too many Denver fans there. There's certainly more folks from Minnesota that live here. It's just kind of the nature of Denver being a transient city and so many people having moved here over the last couple decades. I do see another T-Wolves fan walking with a group of Nuggets fans. And it's always a bold move to go tank top with no undershirt, but this young man is doing that.
Sounds like me.
And look, it is 82 degrees out here today. Perfect day. And Denver's not the only city that celebrates Sunday Funday, but certainly when the weather's nice, it's pretty big all across the city and certainly near downtown. So because the game was late with that Game 7 in the East, instead of this game being at what would have been 1:30 Mountain Time at 6 o'clock, which means people have had their unlimited mimosas, bottomless mimosas all day, and good light beers out on the patio, and all of that, the fruity IPAs that are so prevalent all across the Denver metro. So the crowd will be lathered up for sure, just like we see when there's a night Broncos game. And I get that there's lots of night games in the NBA, of course, and hockey. But, I think that the crowd will be locked in and ready to go. But just like we saw, in the two games here that the Timberwolves won in 1 and 2, crowd can be taken out of it. Same thing we saw in Games 3 and 4 there in Minnesota.
Yeah, the Denver is called the Mile High City. Minneapolis might just float right into the sky if the Timberwolves win Game 7 tonight. BK, look into your crystal ball and make a prediction for us tonight. Who do you think wins and why?
I think it's the first truly close game we see since Game 1. I'm going to take the Nuggets simply because they're at home and because they have Nikola Jokic. And it seems like when it matters most in these settings, they also have Jamal Murray, who has no problem knocking in game winners over players, whether that's Anthony Davis or if Rudy Gobert gets switched out on him. And so I think you could see a big Jamal Murray game as well, assuming his elbow will allow him. But he looked okay shooting yesterday and shooting a little bit today. So I think that the Nuggets win something in the world of like 104-102 kind of game, 104-101. So I think it'll be close, but I do think that the Nuggets pull it out because we're here in Denver.
Well, I appreciate you giving us the insider intel on what's going down Denver way. BK, you've been awesome joining us on Fan Line, on the pregame and everything, so I really appreciate your contributions. May the best team win. We wish you the best of luck, but not too much luck. I think the Timberwolves are going to need it a little bit more than the Denver Nuggets. So hopefully we'll be howling after the game, and if you want to holler at us, feel free to join, man.
All right, we'll see how it goes after the game, but I will reach out and we'll see if it works. I hope it's a fun game, right? I saw Kevin Harlan walking in, talking to the great Timberwolves broadcaster and fellow Jayhawk, and I was like, man, I just hope you get a good game. He's like, me too, because he has not really had one of those. So,
right.
We'd like to see a close game where everybody's favorite team wins.
Yeah, right. Can't everybody just win? Can't we all get rings? Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Somebody has to get eliminated. And I'm not going to lie, hoping it's the Denver Nuggets. Thanks, BK. We'll holler at you after the game.
Sounds good, Max. Thanks, Parker. Enjoy the game.
That was Brandon Crystal of KOA Radio giving us the enemy intel on what's going down with Denver Nuggets fans. But we don't care about that. We want to know what's going down with Minnesota Timberwolves fans. We got one more segment to go. We got you covered on the fields. Cal Soderquist has got you covered on the reel. He'll take over the pregame at 6:30. But we got one more segment. If you want to be heard and give your prediction, text us 64686. You can call us 1-800-320-5326. One more segment to go ahead of the Timberwolves' biggest game in franchise history. Game 7, Wolves, Nuggets, tip-off around 7:30. We got one more for you around the corner. Don't go anywhere.
ABCwillhelp.com. ABC will help. ABC. American Building Contractors. ABCwillhelp.com. New roof, windows or gutters, siding or just a repair. ABC for new installation, insurance restoration. ABC is there.
Call today and get free gutters when you replace your roof with American Building Contractors. Restrictions may apply. Call for details.
ABCwillhelp.com.
At RBC Wealth Management, we know you have ideas for your future. Ideas that can have you enjoying the moment or owning the moment. They can bring investment opportunities or opportunities to invest in yourself. Ideas that can have you doing good or feeling great. From following your passion to making your passion work for you. What ideas will you bring to life? Know more with RBC Wealth Management.
And only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
In sports, success is about team effort, and the same is true for your hair. At Great Clips, we save your haircut details in clip notes, so every member of the highly skilled team knows exactly how to create your signature look. Download our app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
With spring just around the corner, Invisible Fence brand doesn't want you to be left behind. Give your dog the freedom and confidence they deserve now with an Invisible Fence system. Invisible Fence works in any weather, giving you confidence in your pet's safety at all times. Our pet professionals are experts at customizing solutions to your yard, your needs, and your dog's wants. Let us help you take full advantage of springtime when it's here. Spring into action and visit invisiblefence.com to learn more.
Hey, it's Hockey here for Builders and Remodelers. If every time you bought something from somebody, you knew you'd get the best products at great prices, all backed by the best warranties, would you choose those people? I did. That's exactly why I recommend to you Builders and Remodelers. And to celebrate their 72nd anniversary, call them right now. You'll save 72% off installation labor on any siding or doors project. Or get your third window free when you buy two, including installation. Plus, 36 months, no interest financing for qualified buyers. Go to buildersandremodelers.com for details. Nobody does it better.
Tyler from Wendy's here. The best part of Wendy's new Cinnabon Pull-Apart is every part. Unlike mornings, which have no good parts. Until now. Because with Wendy's new breakfast Cinnabon Pull-Apart, mornings finally don't completely suck. And now that mornings have warm cinnamon sugar rolled dough and ooey gooey frosting, are they the best part of every day? Probably not, but you get the idea. Get to Wendy's today and get the best part in every bite with the new Cinnabon Pull-Apart.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, Cinnabon is a registered trademark of Cinnabon Franchisor SPV LLC.
From the Your Boat Club Weather Center.
This report is sponsored by Sun Country Airlines.
With your forecast, I'm Corey Hartman. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight, a low around 59. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are likely on your Monday with a high near 77. Monday night, more storms. It's 67 right now.
With Sun Country Airlines, Minnesotans can explore more than 100 different cities thanks to low fares on nonstop flights. Book your summer adventure today at suncountry.com. Get to going.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
We broadcast from the 651 Carpets Plus, home of the Next Day Install Studios. FM 100.3, KFXN, Minneapolis, St. Paul. The Fan.
Here it is, Twin Cities. We've been asking for big games like this for years. We've been asking for big moments like this for years, and the lights are bright. And hopefully the Timberwolves got their shades on and are looking towards a very bright future after a Game 7 win. It's the biggest game in franchise history, and it's going down in a little over an hour. Wolves, Nuggets down in Denver, Game 7. Oh, my God, I cannot believe it, Parker. I'm so anxious. Like I almost just want to fast forward to the future, like not even see the game, just the result. I'm so freaking anxious. I feel like I'm gonna burst out of my body, and it feels like the Twin Cities are feeling the same way. But everybody seems confident in this Timberwolves team. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that woe is us, Minnesota misery. Everybody seems to be on board and believing in Anthony Edwards, believing in Naz Reid, believing in Karl Anthony Towns, and believing in this Minnesota Timberwolves team.
Yeah, and we didn't see much of that, a couple days ago before Game 6. Everybody was like, oh, now we're down 3-2. It's inevitable. We're not going to win 2 straight. Minnesota sports is back, poor us, woo-woo. And now people, we're turning that corner a little bit, and I can't wait for this one because I think it's such a cool opportunity. Like we talked about earlier in the show, this is one of the biggest games in franchise history, and you and me argued this is the biggest game in franchise history. And I think, I sit here and, I get anxious and nervous, but I got to take a step back and realize, hey, this team has done it all year.
Yeah.
They've been awesome all year. Tim Conley put together a great roster. We have a great, coaching duo and Chris Finch and Micah Norrie. We go about 8 deep, and every single dude plays their tail off. And I think that's what this one comes down to. We just have to continue to be ourselves. We got to play our tails off and let the rest, take care of itself. Scott Foster on the call tonight, so that makes me a little nervous. Rudy's already lost $175,000 to this guy, but as long as Rudy doesn't make the money signals, we should be all right. But I'm excited for this one.
I'm excited for this one too. I'm expecting the Timberwolves to leave it all out on the floor and leave the Denver Nuggets on the mat after a haymaker knockout punch in Game 7. I think the Timberwolves punch their ticket to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in 20 years. We'll holla at you after the game. This has been the pre-game party presented to you by ABC. It'll be me and Parker Fox, hopefully howling and hooty-hooing after a big Wolves win in Game 7. Don't go anywhere. Cal Soderquist has got the rest of the pregame covered from here. We'll holler at you at halftime. We'll holler at you after the game. And we'll howl all the way to the moon after a big-time Wolves win, baby. Let's go.
ABCwillhelp.com. ABC will help. ABC. American Building Contractors. ABCwillhelp.com. New roof, windows or gutters, siding or just a repair. ABC. For new installation, insurance restoration. ABC is there.
Call today and get free gutters when you replace your roof with American Building Contractors. Restrictions may apply. Call for details.
ABCwillhelp.com.
At RBC Wealth Management, we know you have ideas for your future. Ideas that can have you enjoying the moment or owning the moment. They can bring investment opportunities or opportunities to invest in yourself. Ideas that can have you doing good or feeling great. From following your passion to making your passion work for you. What ideas will you bring to life? Know more with RBC Wealth Management.